Good day, students. Now we are revising the analysis of Care and Comfort. I will read the poem stanza by stanza and I will try to analyze the poem Care and Comfort. So, stanza 1, lines 1 to 4. Not, I will not care and comfort, despair, not feast on thee, not untwisted, not untwist, slack they may be, these last strands of man in me, or more weary, cry I can no more, I can something, hope, wish they come, not choose, not to be. In the first lines of Care and Comfort, it quickly becomes clear that the speaker is talking to quote unquote despair. The fact that Hopkins chose to capitalize on despair shows a desire to imbue the force with agency. It is more of a salient interactive being than something one experiences independently. When the speaker within a poem addresses an intangible concept like despair or death or love, it is known as an apostrophe. I am repeating, when the speaker within a poem addresses an intangible concept like despair or death or love, it is known as an apostrophe. He refers to death as quote unquote carrion comfort, the emotion or sense of being is comfort for carrion or dead animals. The speaker sees despair and death as closely related, so much so they feed off one another. Hopkins' speaker, who is quite possibly the poet himself, tells Death that he is going to quote unquote feast on thee. He is choosing not to give into despair, or as he says in the second and third lines, quote, untwist these last strands of men in me. The speaker has no plans to give in to this deep unhappiness or lose the last bits of man or humanity that he has in him. He cannot cry anymore due both to his weariness and to the fact that he is determined not to give in. This is important, that he is determined not to give in. In the fourth line, he adds on to this, saying that he can quote unquote hope and wish day come. Lastly, he says that he cannot choose to stop existing. He isn't going to commit suicide. This is important. Lastly, he says that he can't choose to stop existing. He is not going to commit suicide. Lines 5 to 8. But oh, thou terrible, why wouldst thou rude on me? Thy wring world right foot rock, lay a loin limb against me. Scan with darksome devouring eyes my bruised bones, and fan, oh In turns of tempest, me heap there, me frantic to avoid thee and flee. In the second half of the octet, the speaker refers to despair as, O thou terrible. I am repeating. In the second half of the octet, the speaker refers to quote unquote despair as quote unquote, O thou terrible unquote. He asks rhetorically why he has been treated this way. The speaker feels as though he has suffered the quote ring world right foot of despair. It has been crushing and wringing his world. In this poem, the emotion of despair is clearly a strong one. It has the ability to destroy the speaker, but as stated above, he is determined to resist. I am repeating as it is important. It has been crushing and wringing his world. In this poem, the emotion of despair is clearly a strong one. It has the ability to destroy the speaker, but as stated above, he is determined to resist. He goes on asking why, quote unquote, despair chose to, quote, lay a lion limb against, unquote, him. I am repeating. He goes on asking why despair chose to lay a lion limb against him. This is a strange phrase, but one that relates back to the Bible, specifically the book of Peter. The text describes the devil as a lion. Despair has taken full advantage of this speaker. It is truly like a predator drilling into the speaker's bruised bones with devouring eyes, unquote. The emotion is also able to send storms or, quote, turns of tempest, unquote, to the speaker, who is often, quote, heaped there, unquote. I am repeating. This is important. The emotion is also able to send storms. So due to this emotion, he is turmoiled, or turns of tempest to the speaker, who is often heaped there. These sudden disastrous moments make him frantic to run from despair. So, students, we will continue the stanza 2 in the next e-content. Please write it in your own words. Thank you.